Welcome to chapel this morning on this, slightly cold and blustery day, although I hear and hope that it's supposed to get warmer again next week. I don't know. On Monday during chapel, even though my mother was streaming chapel and was watching, she also texted me during chapel, which, if you're watching right now, Mom, please don't text me during chapel. She does stream most days. But I checked it after chapel, and she had texted me pictures of the fact that in Edmonton on Monday morning during chapel, it was snowing. So, hey, at least it's not snowing. Anyways, welcome to chapel this morning. Many thanks to the Department of Biology for their leadership and hospitality this morning. Many thanks to Larry the Frog. And many thanks to Dr. Laura Aldrich-Wolfe for speaking this morning. With that, I invite you to stand, and we begin in singing our call to worship. God, from whom all blessings flow, innumerable galaxies of the heavens worship you. Creatures that grace the earth rejoice in you. All those in the deepest seas bow to you in adoration. As we gather here in this moment, lift our voice in praise.
This morning, we'll read the psalm responsively. You made the springs into rivers that flow between the mountains.
All the animals drink their fill from them, and the wild donkeys quench their thirst.
Beside them, the birds of the air make their nests. Among the branches, they lift their voice.
From your dwelling on high, you water the mountains. The earth is satisfied with the fruit of your works.
You make grass grow for the cattle and plants to serve humankind, that they may bring forth food from the earth.
Wine to gladden human hearts, oil to make the face shine, and bread to strengthen the human heart.
The trees of the Lord are well supplied, the cedars of Lebanon that you planted.
In which birds build their nests, while the stork makes the fir trees its dwelling.
The high hills belong to the mountain goats, and the stony cliffs are a refuge for the badgers.
You made the moon to mark the seasons, and the sun
You bring on darkness, that it may be night, in which all the beasts of the forest prowl.
The lions roar for their prey, seeking their food from God.
The sun rises, and they withdraw, and lay themselves down in their dens.
People go forth to their work and to their labor until the evening.
How manifold are your works, O Lord! In wisdom you have made them all. The earth is full of your creatures. The first reading is from Genesis chapter 1, verses 24 through 31. And God said, "Let the earth bring forth living creatures of every kind, cattle and creeping things and wild animals of the earth of every kind." And it was so. God made the wild animals of the earth of every kind, and the cattle of every kind, and everything that creeps upon the ground of every kind. And God saw that it was good. Then God said, "Let us make humankind in our image, according to our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the birds of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the wild animals of the earth, and over every creeping thing that creeps upon the earth." So God created humankind in his image. In the image of God he created them. Male and female he created them. God blessed them, and God said to them, "Be fruitful and multiply, and fill the earth and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the birds of the air, and over every living thing that moves upon the earth." God said, "See, I have given you every plant yielding seed that is upon the face of all the earth, and every tree with seed in its fruit. You shall have them for food. And to every beast of the earth, and to every bird of the air, and to everything that creeps on the earth, everything that has the breath of life, I have given every green plant for food." And it was so. God saw that everything God had made, and indeed it was very good. And there was evening, and there was morning, the sixth day. Here ends the reading.
The second reading is from Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verses 17 to 22. I said in my heart, God will judge the righteous and the wicked, for God has appointed a time for every matter and for every work. I said in my heart, with regard to human beings, that God is testing them to show them that they are but animals. For the fate of humans and the fate of animals is the same. As one dies, so dies the other. They all have the same breath, and humans have no advantage over the animals, for all is vanity. All go to one place, all are from the dust, and all turn to dust again. Who knows whether the human spirit goes upward and the spirit of the animals go downward to the earth? So I saw that there is nothing better than that all should enjoy their work, for that is their lot. Who can bring them to see what will be after them? Here ends the reading.
Oh, a tippy podium. I wasn't expecting that. Okay. I'd like to start by thanking Dr. Chris Strand and Pastor McGordon and Pastor McCann for the invitation to provide the homily for today's service. It's a real privilege. Of course, as an erstwhile English major, before I could even begin writing the homily, I had to first look up the definition on Google. Google informed me that a homily is, and I quote, "a religious discourse that is intended primarily for spiritual edification rather than doctrinal instruction." This I found reassuring, since I am clearly in no position to provide doctrinal instruction. However, there was also an alternate definition. And here again I quote, "a tedious moralizing discourse." So I'd like to begin this homily with the hope, perhaps the prayer, that it fits the first definition rather better than the second. Each year, chapel convenes around a central tenet, which I love, and this year's theme is, as you almost certainly know by now, life together. It seems to me that two important ideas lie at the heart of life together: our notions of community and our notions of neighborly love. I think typically when we hear the phrase, the Fargo-Moorhead community, we think of the people of Fargo-Moorhead. But for an ecologist like myself, community carries another meaning. In an ecological framework, a group of humans who live together is not a community, but a population. While community means all the species that interact with each other in a particular place. In reality, of course, a community ecologist, such as myself, must focus on the lives of just some of the species that share a given place. The community is too complex. But we understand that the ideal would be to arrive at an understanding of all the species that live together in that place. My question for you today is, what would Fargo-Moorhead be if we purposefully recognize that we share this community not only with other people, but also with all the other species of this place? What would Fargo-Moorhead be if we truly sought to share this place, if we acknowledged the membership of all its inhabitants? The mosquitoes and the dragonflies and bats that consume them, the bacteria at the wastewater treatment plant that clean up our waste, the trematodes that deform the northern leopard frogs, the beavers that fell the aspens and the willows along the Red River, but leave the elms for the rest of us, the wild turkeys that occasionally get caught in traffic, the native bees that visit the prairie plants in your garden and pollinate your apples, the hazelnut and the native groundnut that would nourish us again if we knew how to identify them, the freshwater mussels that once gave us buttons for our clothes, the fungi, some of you know I'm a fungal ecologist, the fungi that grow below our feet, sometimes between our toes, and even in the walls of our buildings, the microbes that compost our leaves and our bodies and make them soil again. Genesis 1 tells us that when the earth brought forth each living creature after his kind, God saw that it was good. But when he caused the earth to bring forth the life that would nourish each creature, then God saw that it was very good. Life then, as a set of populations, with each creature after its kind, is not as good as life in a community in which each species nourishes the other. Of course, and more famously, or notoriously, depending on your perspective, in Genesis, God grants humans dominion over the fish of the sea, the fowl of the air, over the cattle, over all the earth, and, at least in my King James Bible, over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. We are exhorted to be fruitful, multiply, and subdue the earth. But in Genesis, we are also asked to replenish the earth. What then does it mean to have dominion over the earth, to subdue and to replenish? Clearly, our dominion carries with it both rights and responsibilities. What are these rights and responsibilities? Shouldn't we currently find ourselves in the midst of a lively debate about them? And should not we each, as responsible citizens of the world, consider each argument and come to a conclusion, to a commitment that we are prepared to honor and to live by? If we use other species in such a way that they cannot be replenished, then we have not met our obligations. And in our dominion, we are responsible not only for those species that nourish us directly, but quite clearly we hear in Genesis that we are responsible for replenishing or sustaining all of creation. The readings and hymn today remind us that our God is also the God of the sparrow and the whale, of all the denizens of the deep, that God made night not for us, but for the beasts of the forest to prowl, and that men and beasts have all one breath, so that a man has no preeminence. If our community includes all the species that interact with one another in this place, then loving our neighbor entails considering the well-being of all the inhabitants of our community, not only the human ones. In faculty workshop, as Pastor McGordon welcomed us back to Concordia, he asked us to extend hospitality to the stranger. I ask you today to consider not only the human strangers in Fargo Moorhead, but also all the other species that may be strangers to you. Strange to you, estranged from you. The cliche, I think, holds true. How can you love what you don't know? To love our neighbors, we must get to know them. I invite you to embrace the stranger. Embrace your neighbors here in our community, the immigrants, the old-timers, the sturgeon as they attempt to return to these waters, the bald eagles and the big blue stem as they make their home here once more. Maybe you could start with a species in the illustration that you received today. I brought you 33, some from this place, some from places far away, but there are millions more still out there waiting to be known. Of course, loving your neighbor as yourself does not require tolerating bad behavior or risking danger, but it does require making choices that maximize the well-being of the many rather than the few. It seems to me that dominion over the earth carries a grave responsibility to love all creatures as your neighbors, to look out for them, to recognize their place in the world, and to lift them up when they are low. In presenting his strategic plan to us 2 years ago, President Kraft outlined an educational path designed to help our students achieve whole self, whole life, and a whole world. He was, of course, also reminding us of the importance of the word whole in both its senses. A whole human self includes not only the human cells that make up each of our bodies, but also the microbial cells that live within us. Some dangerous, some beneficial, some pushed one way or the other by our decisions. A whole self is a community, and the wisdom of its human leader determines the productive or counterproductive way in which it functions. A whole life surely entails a community that can sustain you not only for the moment, but until the end of your days. And achieving the whole world is surely not so much about traveling the globe or subduing all of creation, but about replenishing, about each of us in our own way seeking to make the world whole again. Thank you, and may God bless you.
My friend is warm and torn, is badly wounded. I don't know what he really needs. Bring hope to his heart, relief to his mind.
invite you to stand for the blessing. Remembering our connectedness with you, and therefore with all of creation, grant that we may cherish the earth, our home, and live in harmony with this good creation, reconciled in relationship with you, Father, Son, and Spirit. Amen. Go forth into the world to serve God with gladness. Be of good courage. Hold fast to the goodness of creation. Strengthen the faint-hearted. Support the weak. Help the afflicted. Honor all creation. Love and serve God, rejoicing in the Spirit that connects us all. Thanks be to God.